This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And great to have you with us on the show today. Brought to you by our good friends. Brought to you by Brewers Outlet. Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket, imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drink, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and out every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. Ready-to-drink cocktails, High Noon, Jack Daniels, Crown Royal. And the pickle bar led by the Barrels and the Dills, indeed second to none. Speaking of second to none, the perfect transition to Neal Coolong, sir. Welcome.
As always, it's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
So the Steelers draft Harmon in round 1, the defensive tackle from Oregon by way of Michigan State. And, of course, it's the awful circumstance. His mother passed away the day of the draft, which is just heart-wrenching. From a football point of view, I did 5 Derek Harmon games in my career between Michigan State and Oregon. And I know what the stats were this year at Oregon. They were really good. But, Neal, I don't remember him making a play in any one of the 5 games. And I don't remember him being featured by us in the pregame show as a guy to watch in any of the 5 games.
Yeah, that's kind of the knock on him, too. He seems to be more of a late riser. But if you look at the Oregon film, whatever it is that Oregon either got through to him or taught him that he wasn't doing, or he just really kind of turned the corner as far as a player, you saw a lot of a young Cam Hayward in him. And I hate making that comparison just because of how obvious and how simple it is for me to say that now. But you see good technique. You see a guy that uses his hands very well.
Yep.
Not a phenomenal athlete, but a good one. Considering where you're drafting, I mean, I'm not surprised. We talked about Kenneth Grant up and down. Not surprised he went 13 overall. Everyone else was saying he was going to be mid-20s. Right. He's got traits. I don't know if Harmon has the elite kind of traits, and I think that might have dropped him a little bit. But I see somebody that it looks to me like he took well to coaching, and with that improved the level of his game. Perhaps later in his career than what would be ideal. A little bit older, perhaps, but I think he can be an impact player when he gets going a little bit more. And probably more than anything, he's got to be excited because it's the best possible spot he could go. They need somebody to come in and be able to play now and next year. You know, they had kind of a shuffle on the defensive line this season, and they're going to have another one next season with the legend most likely not going to be there anymore. So it's a good spot for him if he can show up and learn. And the biggest thing that now I feel like I have to say, just because it keeps happening so often to Steelers rookies, if he can stay healthy his rookie year, I think you're looking at a player that can really contribute by the end of it.
Well, that brings us to round 3, because I think in round 3 they got a player. I really like Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. I mean, just running. I think the running style fits how the Steelers want to play.
Yeah, his style definitely is better than what they've had there in the past. And, of course, by that I mean Najee Harris, with all due respect to him. I don't think he had the kind of vision that Johnson shows. Johnson also, Johnson probably be a top 50 level player if he was a little bit more explosive, maybe a little bit better of an athlete. But beyond that, he's got just phenomenal balance. Watch his feet. He's never ahead of himself. His body is always in control. He's learned how to run without that extra gear, if that makes sense. If you're a 4.29 guy, you get the ball, you want to score. Second you touch it, you want to be in the end zone. Johnson hasn't had, he hasn't been afforded the ability to do that. He's a contact guy, make guys miss. But more than anything, it's his vision. He sees daylight. He knows where to go. He knows when to cut. He's got excellent timing. In that sense, not quite a Le'Veon Bell type of guy, but I think he has that sort of vision. Bell was excellent with that. Not another guy who's not a great athlete, certainly not in college, playing at the weight that he played at. But Johnson's probably right where they want him to be.
Yep.
And I think he's going to be very productive. They're going to use him quite a bit. I could definitely see him being more of the workhorse in that offense as opposed to Jalen Warren, just because I think he can run more. He's more scheme friendly than Warren is going to be. Warren's kind of a 1 foot in the ground and go kind of guy, outside zone type of runner. I think there's a lot that you can do with Johnson, and I think that in and of itself, his vision and his footwork alone is enough to get maybe a half to a full yard per carry better than what Najee Harris did. With all due respect to Najee Harris, it just didn't really work out for what they were trying to run him with. Johnson can do all of that. He showed that he can do all that, and he runs, success aside, he runs in a scheme that will be a bit more familiar at the NFL level than probably most rookies are going to have coming from the types of offenses that they are primarily running in college nowadays. He's set for it. I think he can play on 3 downs if they wanted to do that. I think he's going to have a lot of success. He was also a guy, I think they kind of telestrated that they were going to take. More than likely, just without a second-round pick, it was kind of like, well, these are the positions of value. This is the direction they're going to go. Their second pick, second pick that they're going to make is a third-round pick, and I think Johnson probably fits best with a third-round profile. And it's a question of him being there, and obviously he was. The second they went on the clock, I knew who they were taking. Really just kind of poured into a Steelers uniform. Not a pun on the Hawkeyes jerseys, but he fits, just as you said, he fits a lot of what they do and how they want to run the ball. I think he'll be good. I think he's going to have some success right away for him.
A guy that I don't think will be a star, but I really like him as a player, and he'll help, and that's Jack Sawyer from Ohio State. I thought I was over at Beaver Stadium because, the only time I even watched any second of the draft on Saturday was actually this point right before the game, and I saw the Steelers pick Sawyer, and I thought, now that's a really good third-day pickup.
Yeah, I think Sawyer's the kind of guy that they really hoped in their ideal situation would be available to them in the 4th round. Again, I think looking back on everything, they really illustrated the direction they were going to go in this draft. Mm-hmm. They wanted an interior defensive lineman, they wanted a running back, and they wanted an outside linebacker. For whatever reason, strategically that is for them. I'm not going to read into anything to do with T.J. Watt as far as Sawyer's acquisition. Mm-hmm. What we know is they almost always have a veteran on a rookie contract, as well as either an established veteran playing on an extension or a veteran free agent contract, or a young rookie occupying that 3rd or 4th outside linebacker spot. They're trying to develop a bit of depth. Obviously, it's a key position for what they do. Getting a guy like Sawyer who's got experience, he's played a lot, he plays the game hard, but probably more than anything, he's not somebody that they have to show how to stop the run a whole lot. I think that's his biggest trait within the defense that the Steelers are currently playing. He's not somebody that they're just going to be able to run all over if he has to enter the game. And on top of that, I think he's got a good special teams profile. So there's value for a 4th-round pick. Keep in mind, traditionally, the Steelers, in the 4th round, they tend to kind of go for, I don't want to say long shots, but projects with high upside that they can develop. I think the absence of a second-round pick sort of changed that philosophy. They really wanted to find a round 3+ type of guy, somebody who can fit into that mold, might not have gigantic upside, but somebody who's going to be able to play. And Sawyer, I think Sawyer fits that bill well. I don't, we'll see. He very well could develop into a starter. I didn't think that Nate Herbig was going to be a starter either.
Right.
When they drafted him, he's playing himself into a nice extension with somebody at some point. So you have to like the way that they're developing their young outside linebackers, the young edge defenders, to go with, maybe one of the best pairs in the league. So definitely a value add there for them, and I think Sawyer's going to pay dividends for them maybe not immediately, but he'll get time. You know, we've seen Highsmith and Block get injured. Herbig's a solid player in certain situations. I think Sawyer can, work into that as well. Maybe this season, but probably more like next year. A good spot for him as well. He's going to be very excited about the opportunity that he has specifically within this team.
Which now brings us to, they drafted a quarterback. They drafted Will Howard, who has flashes of brilliance, has some size, the arm, some mobility, and he also has areas of concern. Look, it's a third-day draft pick. Is that the best way to sum up Will Howard?
Yeah, I might tamper it down a little bit more than that even. I'm not out and out impressed with him. I don't think a quarterback better succeed on a team that's got 10 other NFL guys who were drafted. He's thrown to the college equivalent of Jerry Rice and Randy Moss every time he drops back to throw at that level. He didn't need to do a whole lot. Right. And to his credit, he did what they needed him to do. I don't want to take that away from him. But the market showed him to be a sixth-round draft pick in kind of a crazy quarterback draft. So you put those things together, I'm not sure he's got the upside that a lot of fans seem to be going with. I think there's, maybe a little bit more college affinity that's bringing that out. I think he's a backup. And if you want a backup, I would say this. He's cheaper than Mason Rudolph next year. So maybe that's it. And you need backup quarterbacks. It's not to say that he can't improve and there's nothing that they can do for him. And I've heard everything. He's got a great attitude. I mean, he definitely knows what to say. He knows how to say it. As a player, I'm not expecting really anything. He's just not – there's not a whole lot of upside. I think he's kind of at his ceiling. We'll see, though. I mean, give him a shot. I think he'll make the team just on the fact that they need to kind of develop somebody. But at the same time, and this is really the perspective of college football that has changed the NFL more than anything. Most of these guys, you add in COVID and then the NIL era, transferring and everything like that, most of these guys have played a lot of college football now. Will Howard is no exception. He has a lot of snaps under his belt. How much more do you think he's going to grow with very limited practice opportunity? I don't know how great that is. I don't know where his ceiling is. I don't think he's going to grow very much. What you see is what you get, and I don't see a guy that can read, three receivers. He doesn't run progressive looks in that offense. It's pretty easy to throw to the guys that he has going out there. And he doesn't really need to look through anything. He's going to need to learn to do that. He's going to need to learn to drop back from center. There's a lot of work, and I don't know how much of that he's going to be able to do at the NFL level.
Well, with that question, we now bring it to the low-hanging fruit. You know where we're going. I've said about Shedur Sanders, I've talked about his toughness, I've talked about his accuracy, which in short to medium range. But I've also said that he has a SAM problem, S-A-M, size, arm strength, and mobility. Am I wrong on that?
Absolutely not. There's a couple things here, and everyone's weighed in on it. I'm not going to try to restate the obvious, but the thing we really didn't want to look at is there were plenty of people questioning the SAM with him. Exactly as you put it. He is not exceptional in any of those areas. My opinion, if you want to get into the influence of his father on everything, it's not chatting it up with teams. It's not going on whatever interview is available and talking about his son. It's more of the fact that his dad was a legendary quick-twitch athlete, and his kid is relative to where he's going to play is average at best.
Yes.
He does not have great athleticism at all. People saying that he does, you don't know what you're looking at or you're lying. You assume his dad has this, therefore he does, right, which is a problem in and of itself because it's also the same stuff that said he was in competition to be the first overall pick.
Right.
And more of the problem then becomes because it was said he was going to be the first overall pick or top 3 or anything like that, the fact that he wasn't means the teams are out to get him. Like, no, not really.
No.
He's not exceptional. That said, I find it absolutely insane that Dylan Gabriel was drafted ahead of him. I wouldn't have drafted Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
I don't understand that move by Cleveland at all. I was joking with people. I'm only partially joking. I think they tried to draft somebody named Dylan Garfield, and somehow or other the name got mixed up. There's no way that guy is a third-round draft pick. That's insane.
Right.
I could see Shedur being a third-round pick. I think that's where he should have gone, realistically, considering everything that happened. Because you have to look at, too, 32 teams don't want a quarterback that high. Right. Okay? There are only so many teams that are going to do that. You had one go off the board first. The Giants, apparently, one reason or another, they like Jackson Dart better. Okay, we can go back and forth on that for days. I don't think there's a big amount of separation between those two. So whatever. They go with the guy that they want to go with. From there, it really comes down to Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh, like I said, they telegraphed exactly what they wanted to do with this draft.
That's right. And
they need those positions. The ones they drafted, they needed them, and they're down a second-round pick. Maybe the situation is different for them. If Shedur fell to them in the 5th round, a round that they rarely ever draft in, by the way, maybe it's different if they have a second-round pick and they're a little bit more open in the 3rd or 4th. I don't know. The reality is that the situation didn't play out well for Shedur. I think he probably went a little bit later than he should have realistically, but we are not talking about a consensus 3rd overall pick dropping to the 5th round. Right. Not that good. And I don't know what his upside is. I am confident he could step in and manage a game. I'd rather have Shedur Sanders than Will Howard.
Yeah.
I'd rather have pretty much anybody drafted over Dylan Gabriel. Again, I don't know what Cleveland's doing with there.
Yep.
Shedur probably would make the team over Gabriel unless Shedur doesn't get the message that he really should, kind of shut up, stay off social media, and get to work, which I trust that he'll do considering everything that's just happened. The reality is, though, Shedur, I think he can be a player. I never thought it was something where he was going to be able to come in and play on day one. I think we talked about this last week, too. The biggest issue with Shedur, when you watch him, yes, he took a lot of pressure at Colorado. Yep. There were issues with that, obviously. He probably could have been more productive with a better offensive line, but it's not about the stats necessarily. The issue that I saw with him more than anything is he's not an elite athlete, and when he saw pressure, he dropped back. Yep. He took himself out completely as a thrower when pressure came in. He was going to then have to move, find a new spot, reset his body, and then deliver the ball. At the NFL level, he's not escaping.
That's right.
He's not quick enough. He's not athlete enough to do that. You watch a guy like Lamar Jackson, he can do that. I have confidence that Cam Ward can do that.
Yeah.
Shedur can't.
Right.
And those off-window, off-schedule plays and throws now are so much more important in the NFL level. He showed consistently he's not going to step up in the pocket, try to escape out B-gap, not make a move up the middle or anything like that. He's going to drop back, turn his shoulders away from the play, and effectively make himself a runner deep in the backfield when the pocket is collapsing upon him. That's a terrible trait to have as a quarterback. And it's not something either. You talk to people that really know the position well, that evaluate prospects, they'll tell you it's not something that they just train out of you either. There's a reason why he's doing it. He's not used to doing it, and a lot of it is mental. This is coming. I have to do everything myself. I'm just going to go try to make a play happen. I think there are examples of it where you got away with it a little bit in college, and that's fine. But he ain't Lamar Jackson. You're not able to do that. On top of it, you don't have the arm to deliver off schedule like that.
Right.
There was a highlight they showed of this situation happening. He broke himself down. He tried to make a move inside the pocket. He escaped, and he chucks up a heave and pray that lands way away from where the target was. And lo and behold, number 2 overall in the draft makes a great play on the ball and makes the catch. I saw that highlight 15 times this weekend.
Yep.
It's like, that's not a highlight of a quarterback. It's not a play that you want to show. This isn't the highlight of a guy who should have been taken 3rd overall. So to me, it's Sanders. The bottom line for him, probably the best place he could go is Cleveland. Kevin Stefanski does a great job offensively.
Yep.
He is a good coach. I understand they haven't had all the success in the world. There are a lot of things that are not his fault of why it is that that's going on. But Shedur will have plenty of opportunity because, let's be honest, this might be the worst off-season quarterback room we've ever seen. I mean, it's none of these guys are people that you want to start. You think Pittsburgh is bad. Cleveland just has more of them. They're sharing the same guys between Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco. Again, I'm not trying to rag too much on Dylan Gabriel, but he doesn't belong there. He's not going to make a roster. Putting all that together, Shedur very much has an opportunity to stand out and do well. The problem is he's not going to get every snap. So he's got to make sure he can maximize the little opportunity that he has, splitting it with veterans and another rookie who was drafted higher than him. But I feel like he can do that. It's a good place for him to be. He'll have the chance to show that all of this was wrong, that he can be a good NFL player. We'll see if he can.
Well said, well put. My friend, thank you so much. As always, appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Neal Coolong joining us. Half hour brought to you by our good friends at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. As we continue with more here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.